Hello and welcome back, everybody. It is I, Prof.Quibblefingers, and I thought I'd try something a little different today. Come in, take a seat. Miss Lakshmana, she will be back around soon. It's a bit of an interesting week, and well, to make a long story short, I've decided to crack open a very fine bottle of a 21-year-old Lochranza Arden whiskey. It is very delicious and has a faint hint of pine nuts to it. And now, while we wait for the whiskey to arrive, I suggest you take a nice, comfortable seat and allow me to, I would say, ramble a little bit. You see, my main stories, they take a very long time to produce, and so I thought I might as well start doing some shorter ones where I talk about things that interest me. As such, and with some prompting from Professor Prynne of the University of Twynford, not to mention several of my other friends, I have decided today to discuss a slightly interesting concept. Now, for those of you who might be somewhat of the nerdy persuasion, you've probably heard of the game Dungeons and Dragons. Now, I must admit, I am rather fond of it myself, but, well, there is something that has always struck me as a bit odd. Across almost all versions of Dungeons and Dragons, no matter which setting you pick, Greyhawk, Forgotten Realms, Eberron, there is almost no mention of one particular being. Every single race seems to have some form of pantheon or creator god. The dwarves have gods, the giants have gods, the dragons have gods, the elves have gods. There's even a god of the giant carnivorous manta ray things. That's Demogorgon, by the way. Don't ask how he ended up being the god of giant manta ray monsters that live at the bottom of the ocean. It's very complicated. But there is one particular group who have no deities, and that's humans. Oh sure, humans might worship gods. They might treat them as their rulers. And of course there's Tyr, the Norse god. He is apparently the primary god of humanity. But here's the interesting thing. Across not just Dungeons and Dragons, but across many similar games, humanity has no creator god. I find that very interesting. And so I looked into it. And allow me to tell you a little bit of an interesting tale of how humanity lost its creator. Way back in the depths of time, so long ago that they haven't even invented chocolate biscuits yet, there was the over-god Ao, or possibly Io. The pronunciation was never my strong suit. From the primordial ooze, shall we say, he created existence and reality. Initially, the first things he created were the primordials. Beings of pure energy, pure substance. Those primordials of fire, primordials of water, that you could even create these things like primordials of pure chaos. There's even in one particular book I've come across a primordial of pure order. It resembles effectively a giant cube, and if you've ever seen that screaming fractal crystal monster from what was it, Neon Genesis? Yeah, it's utterly horrific. In any case, well, Where was I? Ah, yes. There are some of these primordials who came together. They essentially decided to establish order. They were tired of how things were constantly changing, and they wanted to create stability in the world. Eventually, a great war began between the primordials of order and the primordials of chaos, and this eventually led to the beings of order defeating the primordials of chaos, creating the first gods and the elder evils. Now, well, we're going to ignore the elder evils. That's a story for another time. And some of those things just they look like something that crawled out from behind the kitchen sink, hissing and dripping venom with big. No, don't like that. And so, the first gods had created order, and some of them began to experiment with their new powers. One of these in particular was a being known as Ihys. I-H-Y-S. He and his brother began to manipulate matter, and between them they sculpted stars and planets, the fundamental laws of physics. Whatever you do, don't break the laws of physics. I did that once. I ended up seeing a pyramid from all 8 sides at once. And one of the things that Ihys created was the first mortal. He created the concept of souls, gathering energy from the positive plane and injecting it into matter. And with it, he created worship. Those who received worship from their mortals would become more powerful. Now, many beings then went on to create their own races. The dwarves, the elves, you get the story. Ihys, however, he felt sympathy towards these creatures. They were essentially just puppets, little more than savants, and lived solely for the will of the gods. And so he decided to gift their new creations free will. This caused a schism in the gods, and one in particular came against it. You see, Ihys had a brother, and the two of them had been very close. In fact, it was his brother's power which had allowed the first beings to actually come to life. Now, these two were giant coatl monsters, winged serpents, and they fought, forming an Ouroboros as they did so. Devastated by Ihys' act, his brother sowed chaos throughout the world, and Ihys became the first being to know of regret. Eventually, the two of them fought for their mortals, to let them choose between freedom and control. Ihys was slain by his brother, but in return, all mortals would be given free will. There was one caveat, however. You see, the very first creatures that Ihys created were beings known as humans. They were technically the very first mortals, at least in a sense, and their fate would be forever in the hands of their brother. This brother would forever eventually receive all souls that would, well, created for humanity. And, well, let's just say that the battle for control and freedom became central to the brothers' future, as eventually he was punished and sent to the depths of the 9 hells, where he still collects human souls. Yeah, you've probably heard of him. The serpent god most linked to the fate of humanity is Asmodeus, ruler of the 9 hells. Eventually, all human souls go to him. Thank you for listening. Please enjoy your whiskey, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Have a good day.